Hello the internet, and welcome back to Road Hazard. It's a very early morning here in Florida, and I got a little story for you. There will come a time in your journey with your project vehicle where you think, man, we're running out of stuff. This thing's getting pretty close to done. And that's when she'll strike. That's what happened to me yesterday. I got in the car to head off to my classes, and I'm like, and that clutch feels kind of weird. Crawled into the car, took a look at the adjustment rod. It was all right, but perfectly where it's supposed to be. I was like, am I running out of clutch? Or the spring came off? Something's weird. Crawl back in the car. Punk! That's not good. And it was indeed not good. Now, what had happened was, our pedal assembly had itself a little oopsie. Yeah, so what happened is it broke right up there. This little arm piece is what actuates the clutch rod that goes through the firewall there, as you can see. Ours was bubblegum welded together quite poorly, and part of that weld, or the metal there inside, was not actually cast all the way through, and it just exploded after enough use. I scrambled trying to find pedals locally, and I could not. Eventually, the closest set of pedals I could find that I could get here next day aired, like expedited as fast as possible shipping for less than $14 trillion, was this little place in Illinois that ended up having a set of pedals for a Chevelle. And this car is basically a Chevelle. The only difference in the pedals is like generational. It's like the pin style or the bolt style. We have the bolt style pedals. So does the same your Chevelle. So we're gonna throw a new set of pedals in the car so that it can move. I had to steal my brother's car to get to class. It's fine. He wasn't there to say no. So we're going to throw a new set of pedals in the cars first thing today. I know I promised exhaust in a future video, in the last video, and you know, we will do that. The other thing we're going to take care of in this video is going to be that front main seal leak. So on the Chevy, you can actually see the timing cover right there underneath the water pump, and the balancers right there and all that stuff. So basically, all you gotta do is pull the belt off, pull the outer pulley off, throw a puller on the crank, the balancer. She comes right off, and then the timing cover holds that seal right behind there. So hypothetically, with all this stuff out of the way, you got plenty of room to get to the seal and the cover and everything, and we should be able to replace it, which would be excellent. Excellent, because I would love to get all this scones cleaned up in here and not worry about leakages ever again. Our new pedal gets here at about 1:30 today, or at least that's what UPS says. So right now it's about 8:40. So I'm going to start ripping out that old pedal, and once we get that out, obviously we'll have a spot to put the new set in. It looks like I've never taken a set of pedals out of an A-body Chevrolet before, so this will be a new experience for me as well. Actually, the only two vehicles I've ever done pedals for are that Duster we worked on for like 4 episodes, my first car, and a OBS era Ford pickups, 92, 96. I've done like 3 or 4 pedal boxes in those trucks, but never in an A-body Chevrolet. So we're gonna learn today together. So I'm gonna grab my toolbox and we'll crawl under the dash and start ripping that out. I hate working underneath the dash on old cars. It's a little too cramped for my liking, so I'm so super excited. I'm not stalling at all doing this pedal box because I love pedals. Working on pedals is literally my favoriteest thing in the world. I can't think of a single task I enjoy more than laying on my back in some weird contorted position working on a single wire or a nut that fell off of a gauge or something underneath the dashboard. Yeah. But if I don't do it, nobody will. So let's get in there. You have to contort yourself some kind of way. But there's a little 11/16 nut on the clutch pedal side. It comes off. And once you have that bad daddy out of there, you can see there's that little washer. There's some bushings. But with enough wiggling, we can assess the damage there to our clutch. The bushing actually looks pretty good. It's dry. We'll throw some grease in it when we put the new one in. But I was expecting the bushing to be shot too. Looks pretty good. But yeah, that's what happened. That little bracket just couldn't handle it. But as you can see, it's been repaired once before. And actually, this looks like the other style pedal arm that just kind of goes boop and stops here for like an earlier Chevelle, I think it is, or maybe it's a later Chevelle. Not this generation though. And then it looks like they just decided to weld the bracket they needed to it to make it work. You know, they did what they had to do back in the day, and I gotta tell you, that lasted a long time. I mean, God, for all we know, that could be factory GM welding. Maybe I got the Friday at 5 car, you know? But anyway, now that that's out, we just have to wait for our new one before we can crawl back in there and throw it in. I think I've made the decision I'm gonna leave the brake in place because there's nothing wrong with it and I don't feel like fishing all that stuff out of there. So we'll pull the little pin out of this bracket. We'll need to get a new cotter key, and then hopefully around 1:30 when that gets here, we'll be able to just throw it in there, tighten her all back up, and we'll have an automobile once again. Well, to call that a debacle would be polite. It's been 10 hours, but I got the pedal fixed. And you're probably asking yourself, why did you do that? And the answer is because the pedal that I paid so much money to overnight is wrong, which is awesome. Don't you just love when that happens and you spend a bunch of money and spend a bunch of extra money, and then the thing that shows up is incorrect? That's my favorite. The bestest part is when you call the company that sent you the wrong part, and then you confront them and say, hey, you sent me the wrong part. And then the guy on the phone yells at you because he thinks you're stupid. And then you send him pictures of the wrong part, and suddenly he doesn't want to talk anymore. That's fine. We won't put him on blast, John. But anyway, we can throw our new fixed pedal back in the car. I got that popcorn welded together at a muffler shop. Fella didn't even charge me nothing. Super nice guy. But did get that put back together by a good old boy. So now we can throw it back in the car and hope and pray that those popcorn welds hold together until the company I bought that pedal from ponies up and sends me the correct pedal.
The glamorous side of automotive mechanics and repair.
I'm back. Hurricane Milton is now gone. Minor flooding, fence damage, some trees knocked over. Other than that, we're fine. So anyway, we're back on the Buick. Today, I figured we would start with the bane of my existence with this car currently, which is that damn oil leak that is just coating this side of the engine bay and the suspension and the brakes and everything over here, basically. It's that front main seal. So, what that entails is basically pulling the front accessories off the motor, but not as much as you might think, honestly. We pull off the crank pulley, the balancer, and technically that'll give us access to the seal, but to get it the easiest way, you take the water pump off too. And I'm trying to decide whether or not that's how I want to do this, or if I want to try and fish it in without taking the timing cover off. That being said, I could probably get the timing cover off without getting the water pump off. I tried really hard. And by tried really hard, I mean tried at all. But I haven't, I don't think I've ever done one of these without pulling the water pump off. I just kind of don't feel like it. You know, you spill water and coolant everywhere. And if we were at our house, obviously we would not give a crap, but you know, we're in communist China over here, so I can't spill stuff all over the floor like I can at home. So I think, now that I'm looking at it, I think maybe we will try to just fish the timing cover off without taking the water pump off. We'll see how much space we have. If we have enough space in the bay, we'll just do it without pulling the timing cover off at all and just tap the new seal in around it. All right, so I managed to get the front out of the way here. It's really not that much that goes into getting to these things, like 2 pulleys in the fan. And then you're in. So we'll grab our puller tool, stick it on here. It's a little Y-shaped one with a stud that goes through the middle and just kind of pulls the deal off. I'll probably hit this with the torch for just a tiny, tiny bit first, just to expand it a little bit. And hell, it might be hot enough just from driving, but with that out of the way, that'll give us access to the seal itself, which is actually just behind this guy. So we're gonna get the puller, get it on there, get it off, and then we'll get all this cleaned up. Get that new seal in there, and we won't have any more problems with this thing flinging oil everywhere, including the friggin' steering box somehow. So that's what's next. I just farted. All right, it's all hooked up. It's all tight. Got tension on it. Basically, the only thing left to do is sit here and turn this until this thing comes all the way off. But no biggie. Check that out. The reason it's leaking is that they painted it. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, the good news is the snout itself is shallow enough. I'm pretty sure we can do this without taking the timing cover off, which is awesome. So I'm gonna grab my little seal puller. We'll try and get behind this guy, pull her on out of there. I have ideas for this car in the, like long-term goals that may or may not come to fruition. Chief of which is maybe potentially, don't freak out on me here, maybe an LS swap. And the only reason I say that is because longtime viewers of my channel will remember that we have a mostly complete LS7 in our garage that we need to do something with. So I had been saving that for like a Pro Touring Firebird, but the Firebird prices keep going up. I'm starting to get priced out. So maybe we'll put an LS7 in this car one day. And then we'll have a perfectly good hopped up 350 and a 4-speed to put in something else. Because if I put an LS in this car, I'm also going to put in like a 5 or a 6-speed, like a TKX or T56 or something like that. Maybe what do they call it? The TKO. That's the other one. Something big and beefy is what I'm getting at. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. All of that, if at all, is so far into the future, it's really not important right now anyway. So we're going to clean all that sconge up and then get in there with some tools. Hi. Old one's out, new one's going in. The old one had a couple of dings, dents, and other stuff on it. The seal itself was also painted, so it wasn't really doing seal things. I got that one kind of set up there. What you'll want to do is just take a hammer and just basically go in a circle around this guy until it fully seats into the timing cover. Don't hit too hard. You want to use a soft face mallet, truthfully, but mine's all the way over there and I already have this one, so we just want to kind of go around the lip and gently tap that guy in until it's nice and flat. What I will usually do is take some RTV, just a little bit, and go around the outside lip of the seal so that the timing cover itself doesn't become the cause of the leak, especially on older stuff like this, where the sealing surfaces, you know, might be a little corroded or dinged up from age or whatever. And just pretty good. Now, one thing you typically never ever want to do is, you know, pull this into place by the bolt, because you could rip the threads out of the crankshaft. But we beat this on with the hammer and a block 99% of the way before doing this. So once you've got a good amount of threads that you can actually grab with the bolt itself, you can typically sucker on down the rest of the way. Now, the other thing I'll say is, if you're doing this with everything cold and everything kind of tight, this could be a lot of stress on this particular little guy. And if you break it, well, congratulations, you just bought yourself a new crankshaft. So be careful, don't over tighten it, you know, just be careful, I guess, is basically all I'm trying to say. Do as I say, not as I do, at least on camera. Like I said, I did smack this on with the mallet and a block 99% of the way, and just sucked it in that last little 1/16 of an inch with the bolt, which you can do just fine as long as you're careful. I just put my hair in a bunch of oil. What else is new? Used motor oil is basically cologne at this point to me. That is all the way on. Now we can loosen the bolt because it goes in front of that pulley. Take that all the way out. And that's installed. They're out there pounding stakes into the ground right now to try and ratchet strap a tree back into place after the storm. You know, just Florida things. Okay, camera died, I didn't notice. Sorry about that. Whole thing's back together, super simple process. I mean, literally 4 bolts for the fan, 4 bolts for the other pulley, and then you tighten the tightening bolts and brackets on the AC compressor and the alternator, and you're done. And it's really that simple. So now we're gonna throw a cord in because we're a cord low from that nasty leak. And then we're gonna move on and be done. I don't recall if I actually said it or not on camera, but I did find one more little leak we're gonna address real quick. Last night I went and got some parts. So, there was a drippity drip on the back of the automobile. And I was like, well, that's gas maybe from our little thing. And well, there's definitely that. But it was a more drippity drip, like differential fluid. So the pinion seal is leaking. We're gonna go ahead and replace that. here's the situation. The seal we had that we were putting in there was wrong also. The diameter for the shaft was too small. Ordered another one. Won't be here till tomorrow if I ordered it, so it's in Orlando. My family was already there. They're gonna pick it up for me. The fluid that came out of the rear end looked like water, black water. So we picked up some gear oil, the Lucas stuff, and we're gonna do a fluid change in the rear end as well. It's probably a good time to do it. So we're gonna pop the cover off, drain it, and throw some new fluid in it once we get the seal on it. But we'll start by popping the cover off and draining what's in there. All right, only got one more in there. Now, I'm not expecting much fluid to actually be in here, just based on what we saw on the other side. But there will be something. There we go. Wow. Not a lot in there. Oh, yeah, that should be pouring out. Maybe it's a good thing we came in here, huh? All right. Correct seal, finally. After the third time. They do say that particular one is the charm. Now, we just gotta tap this in. And then, seal's good. Hopefully this is the last time we do this part. Okay. Not wait. Oh wait. Just a few more strikes. And then we take the pinion nut and the washer, which is here. Stick that on there. Put that on there. We grab our impact and we torque it to all of it. Torqued. There's quite a bit of slop in this rear end. I'm not a huge fan of that, if I'm being honest with you. Dry shaft. Still have the diff cover off, which I painted, by the way. Matte black. It's just the leftover paint from the headers. But, you know, when you take the cover off, you're almost like contractually obligated to paint it. And you're almost contractually obligated to use RTV instead of a gasket as well. And I'd say the biggest reason for that is when the next guy crawls under the car, he can say definitively, without a doubt, yes, somebody has been in there before, and there is likely fresh fluid in there. Which in our case will be true, because well, I drained all the fluid out, and we're going to put fresh fluid in it. We didn't have to do that, but actually we did. With the slop in there and everything, I'm thinking a 12-bolt swap is in our future, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I figure we could probably find something out of a Camaro or even another A body, like a Chevelle or a GTO or something. Maybe somebody switched to a 9-inch for drag racing and they took out a 12 bolt and they don't need it anymore. That's what I want, something like that. But I do want a posi. So this is an open diff, which is pretty lame. So, you know, we're casually on the lookout for something like that. Not on the top of our priority list by any stretch, but it is on the list, I guess. So I'm going to clean up this bottom surface here with a rag real quick, and then we'll grab the cover, which is in front of the fan over there. We'll glob some RTV on there and stick it back on the diff, and then you fill it from there. In case you didn't know, you just fill it until it goes out the hole. Okay, diff cover is on and tight. The pinion seal is in, the drive shaft is back on. We're gonna let the RTV sort of tack up and cure for a little bit before we throw the fluid in it. So guess I'll clean up a little bit, and then we'll drop the car down and get ready to fill her up with some good old fluid there. The square head on the little bolt that covers the fill port is just a 9/16. You can grab it with the box end and loosen that guy. And basically what you want to do is take your gear oil and dump it in there until it just starts to run out of the pumpkin here. Once you see that, you can stick the thing back in, tighten it up, and that's it. The rear end is full to spec, and you're good to go. All right, it's been a couple of days, and we had everything nice and clean down here to see if we could monitor that leak. And we're monitoring it all right, in the sense that it's somehow just as bad as it was before, even though we changed that seal. So clearly that didn't work. We got something wrong with the timing cover we're gonna have to go back and fix. And that's gonna be our next video, where we're going to tear this thing down farther than I really wanted to. We're gonna pull the whole front accessory drive off, pull the timing cover all the way off this time, and we're gonna go ahead and pull the oil pan and the main cap on the back, and we're gonna put a new rear main seal in it because this one's leaking like a sieve. You know, I got mixed emotions about this because this engine runs fantastic, but it just leaks from every single possible orifice, and it didn't leak a drop before we got it worked on. So I'm a little bit annoyed by that. Little bit frustrated that I have to go in and fix this, but this is the reality of the world today. Nobody knows how to work on old cars anymore. So we're going to pull the pan and do all that nonsense. And to do that, I guess you can do it with the engine in the car if you're tricksy enough, by which I mean, like, you take the bolts out of the motor mounts and you can pick the engine up like 2-3 inches, and the internet seems to think it's absolutely possible to get the pan off of there without too much trouble and getting all that out of the way. So we'll be doing that instead of the exhaust again, because every single time I'm like, yes, this is the weekend we put headers and do the exhaust on the car. Something breaks or starts leaking that wasn't before. So we're just destined to chase that crap forever, I think. But you know what? That's the reality of driving old cars every day. They beat you up, especially if they're made by General Motors. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Every like, every comment, every subscriber. Drop a like if you liked what you saw today, or if you want to see some more of this car. If you don't want to see more of this car, well, that's unfortunate, because we work on it a lot. So, oof. It's a beautiful day today. See you guys next time.